Hello all, and welcome to your last week of semester one. If you haven't looked at my email from last week, what's going to happen is we have a short week this week. The last day that you will have of semester one is Thursday, with Friday being the grading day. So if you want to guarantee that your missing or incomplete work will count towards your semester one grade, get it in by the end of the day on Thursday. Friday is a grading day. The teacher's going to start grading. And whenever I get through what's been turned in, I will post grades on Infinite Campus. So if you want to guarantee that it will be counted, it needs to be in by Thursday at midnight. If you're not sure what's missing or what's incomplete, because obviously there's not an incomplete list on Google Classroom, the same way there is on Infinite Campus, please get in touch and I'm happy to point you towards the different resources and help you make a plan to get those last remaining things in. As part of that plan, you are going to have an extra work day this week, so no quiz on Thursday. It's just going to be a work day to get all those things in. And since this deadline is true for all classes, not just algebra, you can definitely use that time to catch up on other classes if you're not behind in mine. We are going to have 2 lessons on Monday and Tuesday, and those will be part of your semester 1 grade, so let's get started. Get your notes out, and we're going to talk about solving proportions. And homework is from 7.4. So get yourself ready for notes and we're going to get started. Now, some of you are definitely going to be familiar with this concept of cross multiplication, but I'm going to do a quick review. And cross multiplication is a strategy for when we have 2 fractions that are equal to each other. So if I have A over B is equal to C over D. You only use this if you have 2 equal fractions like this. What we do when we cross multiply is we say, oh, well, if I multiply A times D and B times C, the equation is still the same. So A times D is equal to B times C. Now, what's important here and that I see some students drop is that there's no fractions left, which is fantastic. That's the idea of why this is a helpful strategy. But you also still have the equal sign there. So no more fractions, but we still have an equal sign. Now, how do we use this to solve equations? Well, whenever you see something with 2 equal fractions like this, number 1, 3 over 5 is equal to 8 over x. I'm just going to immediately cross multiply, and that tells us that 3 times x, so the ends of each cross line, is equal to the ends of the other, which in this case is 5 times 8. So we can simplify that as 3x is equal to 40. Divide both sides by, not by 40, because we want to get x by itself, so by 3. That cancels out, leaving us with x is equal to, and I'm just fine with you writing it as 40/3. Talked about this a couple times. Or you could definitely say that this is 13 1/3 as a mixed number, or as a fraction, as a decimal, 0.3 repeating. Now notice it's not 0.3. If it's a repeating, I want you to put this line over it so that it's actually equal. But I think that it's a lot easier to just leave it in fraction form like this. Didn't have to do any additional work. Now this also works if you have other things multiplied in there, so not just a variable. So I'm still going to cross multiply here. So 3w times 5 is equal to 110 times 12. So 3w times 5 is equal to 110 times 12. Now, one thing that I'm going to do to be a little bit sneaky is that instead of simplifying right away, I'm going to actually do a little division, because I want to get w by itself. So it's like, well, I would divide by 3 anyway. And then when I divide by 3 here, the 3 and the 12 cancel out and leave behind 4. So then I get 5w is equal to 440, which is just a lot easier math to do in my head. Now here's another cool trick when I divide something by 5. You could grab a calculator, but you're not always going to have one. Or you just don't want to get it up. Like I have my phone near me. I just don't want to pick it up. So I'm going to say, well, w is equal to 44 times 10 over 5. And this is a nice trick for whenever something has a 0 on the bottom and you're dividing by 5. Factor out the 10, simplify, and then that's just 44 times 2, which is 88. So just a nice trick. It's kind of handy. There's a third thing here. I decided to split up the lesson into 2 lessons with distance learning. I think that makes more sense. So we're going to do it without distribution today, and tomorrow you're going to see solving proportions with the distributive property. So homework from here, and if you have any questions about the end of the semester, please let me know, and I'm happy to help you get started on anything that you still need to either complete or that you need to fix from the incomplete assignments that you have left.